one for the library. I would like to welcome new youth librarian named Joe Pisco. Pesco.
Yep.
Pesco, thank you. Yeah. Anyway, Joe Pesco, I spelled it. All right. He has a background in middle school education, as I, and is replacing Jenny Legatsky, who has relocated to Maryland. So, and I'd like to welcome to the town. Anyway, anything else? Oh, is there something in the schools coming up?
Two things. Yeah, the school will be a deliberative session next February early. So we're waiting for the school department to give me the official date. They told me as soon as I get it, they'll give it to me.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll let you know that. The other thing is that Mike Cloutier came across a pile of loam that he got, but it was full of rocks. He got it free, so he borrowed a sifter, and he's sifting that soil. People were asking me questions. The soil that's sifted is going to be used for a base for the roads on the addition to the hillside cemetery. So he's getting all that base material for nothing. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yep.
Isn't that the material they dug out for the culverts?
I don't know.
That's what he told me.
It's created a solution, and people have, I've heard complaints about why it's there, and anyway, but that's good. Thank you.
It won't be there forever.
Right. Okay. Thank you. You have anything? Okay. Consent agenda. Oh, yeah. Consent agenda. Payroll accounts payable for payroll and accounts payable for 8/8/24 and 8/15/24. And minutes for 7/31/2024. I will confess, I was a remote site listening to the meeting, so I really couldn't verify that everything was said there, so I'm going to abstain on that, but I think it should go forward because I won't get any better educated.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable for 8/8/24 and the minutes for 7/31/24. Will we do the special events?
Yes, please.
We have two special events permits for Franklin Pierce University. It's for their football schedule this coming year. They've got it all set up. It's been approved by the police and fire department. We're also got on the same coinciding dates a beer garden at the site of the football game, so they coincide. At the college, they just call it the gas station rather than the beer garden.
And their coach, yes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's worked out very well in the past. The people that manage the beer and all that, they have a license to sell beer and all that. So their license is on the line if they don't do things properly. And we haven't had any problems at all. So I'm fine with that. That's my motion.
And there were two special events. I'm sorry, did you say three of them?
Several special events. There's several dates.
Yep.
It's two different special events.
They're all.
They're in the folder. So, but you did the one for the beer gas station, and then there was another one for, also from the college.
For the football games.
For the football games. Thank you. Okay.
Bob, I did notice you didn't sign the one for the beer garden when I was in here this afternoon.
They gotta get the beer first. They gotta get a free beer.
Absolutely.
I noticed that you didn't sign it. I was like, you signed one, but not the other.
I'll sign it when they offer me a free beer.
All right. I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda for minus the minutes.
I would like to make a comment before we vote to approve them. I have no problem with them, but I think
Okay.
reviewing payroll for this week, 15th, I discovered that wages were being charged to a proper line, which affects workers' comp. And I've talked to Laurie about it. She's going to try to look through it. It's going to take a little while to figure it out.
Right. But it may be amended.
No, it'll stay the same. It's still payroll. But I
Yeah.
think it's just how it's charged, because of the way it's charged, it affects
Okay.
workers' comp charges, because it's based
thanks for catching it, that's why many guys are good.
So, but she's gonna work on it, take a
Okay.
little while for it to sort through, but everything else is fine.
So I have a motion on the table?
I'll
Second?
second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I can make a motion on the minutes of 7/31, 2024.
No, we already did that.
I left it out because I can't vote aye.
No.
I was going to abstain. I thought I was, did I?
7:31, you were present.
I was present remotely, but I could not understand what was being said half the time. And I, because I only picked up, actually I picked up you and Lori very well. I didn't pick up other people fully. So I can't say whether or not that was accurate or not, so I'm going to abstain. Okay. So anyway, approval of the minutes for 7:31. I'll make a motion.
I'll make the motion
Make a motion, thank you.
to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And abstain, Carl. Okay, thank you. All right, citizens forum. We have oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie?
Are you?
Oh, I'm going to read something first.
Okay.
Yes, and I acknowledge your hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And what we'll do, of course, is people raise their hand and I'll try to call them in turn. Anyway, we have done different things in terms of reading the rules on that. I've shortened the thing I normally say, but I do want to take something from the town the civility policy that is from basically out of our handbook. As chair of the meeting, I would like to remind everyone of the town's civility policy, which states it is the objective of the town of Ringe that town business be conducted in a professional manner. While differences of opinion may exist between citizens, town employees, and officials, everyone involved in the process of town business is expected to treat others with proper respect. Anyone that fails to conform to the policy will be asked to remove him or herself from the process until they can conform their behavior appropriately, or they can select appropriate representation for their cause or purpose. So people who wish to speak will be allowed up to 3 minutes. They will address their comments to the chair only, and no personal attacks on other citizens or town employees is ever acceptable. Right. And so, does anyone want to speak citizen forum? So I have 2 hands up so far. Yes, okay, I thought you might. Okay, yes, thank you. All right, Ronnie?
Ronnie Hamilton. I wanted to bring this up last meeting. You were all mumbling in the corner here, but I didn't. But I want to bring it up. The last 3 meetings, July 3rd, July 17th, and July 31st, the wording, any other official business to come before the board was missing from the bottom.
Thank you.
And please do not blame Victoria. So I'm asking, I know it had been pretty much demanded that it be on tonight's agenda. But I would like to know why it was removed. And yeah, it's on tonight's agenda. And I just wanted to say that in the past, with Sarah or Joe or Jane, the TAs we had been, usually when something was changed on the agenda, it's not a big deal, I know, but it was always discussed. It was honest and open. But how come it disappeared for 3 months? 3 meetings, I mean.
Don't know, it might be an oversight, I have no idea. In terms of typing it up and not putting it up, I don't know.
Okay,
So,
so none of you on the board noticed that it was missing from these 3 agendas then? Okay, thank you.
All right. This is sort of a template, and it's something we always do, and that's not the part I read when I read through the minutes. So,
Okay.
but I think we had other items, though I don't remember whether we excluded that. Anyway, I'm sorry, Roberta, you were.
Yeah, Roberta Acer, Main Street. One comment and then a semi-announcement. Just a point of order that when somebody's remote, the rules are that you have to hear clearly. everything,
Yep.
or you can't participate in the meeting.
Yep.
So you need to remember that in the future. The other thing is the planning board has it's a subcommittee meeting, open to the public. We're gonna start working on zoning. It's Tuesday at 7, and the public is welcomed and encouraged. I'm gonna try to hold the meeting to an hour. And the first topic, there hopefully will be others, but it's on short-term rentals, also known as Airbnbs, which have become a problem in town. And so we're gonna try to figure out how to keep them under control.
And thank you for that, because there's a lot of committees that really are underattended. And if people have an interest in those, they should check the website, see when they are. They could check the agendas and see if it's something that they're interested in.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm
It's a
gonna
great
see if
idea.
it can get put on the Facebook page,
Yep.
because then it'll get wider. And I'd just like to mention, there's gonna be ongoing zoning subcommittees, so if people are interested and don't wanna be on the planning board, but would like to have input, public is encouraged and welcomed.
Thank you, Roberta. And this, Rebecca West was next.
Hi. I just wanted to come today because I was interested in what is going to be happening with Sherwin Hill Road and the boulders that have been blocking it for some time. My family has owned property here since 1906. My grandparents lived here for several decades. Our family burial ground is located on the top of Sherwin Hill, and when our family deeded property to the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests, we reserved rights to keep that burial ground and to access it. And we always expected to have vehicular and pedestrian access over the public right-of-way coming from Ridge. So just wanted to express that expectation and that we have interest in what actually happens with the road and its status going forward.
Thank you. Larry, you're next. Thank you.
Yeah, Larry Cleveland. So in all the select board meetings that I've gone to, I don't remember a selectman ever saying that they had trouble getting their topic put on the agenda. I've never heard anybody say they've been denied something, okay? It's happened to Bob several times, and I don't know what's going on here, but when you deny one selectman his voice, you're effectively removing 30% of the select board, and it's hideous. All I hear is democracy, democracy, democracy all the time. Is that what you call democracy, is silence in 1/3 of the board? I think it's abhorrent. And now with the wording that's being removed, his work around that was to say, all right, any other business before the board, and that's when he'd bring up his topic that was denied. And now you remove that for 3 meetings. So now you take that away. It's pretty obvious what's going on here, and I think it's ridiculous. So I'd like to know, like, which one of you three are denying him the right to put his agenda on his topic on the agenda? It's one of you three. Which one's going to own up to it?
Well, it's me.
Okay.
And I'm basically, whether it goes on the agenda or it goes at the tail end, and it wasn't a mission there, but no one would ever deny him, and no one on the select board would ever deny to speak up on anything. So whether it's an agenda item or it's put it in, is another matter. And I would not expect anyone to deny me access to speak on any item when I'm not chair, and I would not make Bob unable to speak also.
So you're actually telling me that Bob hasn't been denied any topic to be put on the agenda?
He has not been, I have not, well, that's, what do you say, that's the fine thing. You say, put it on the agenda. Whether it's on the agenda here on new business or whatever, or if it's other business, that is, it's still on the agenda.
I'm talking denied, period, not even being on that piece of paper.
Well, I'm not aware that he's never been able to say anything he's not wanted to say. And maybe Bob can address this if I'm at fault. Yeah.
I've asked for a couple of items in the past
Yep.
few meetings to be put on the agenda. One was not, totally. I talked with Kyle tonight. He said that it was, at his askance, not to put it on the agenda, that it could be brought up under any other business. But then, as Larry pointed out, the agenda didn't include any other official business to come before the board. So that really precluded it. I asked for another one tonight, it was about the conditions of the buildings at the fire department and the police department to be put on the agenda. That was also not put on the agenda.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to give a heads up to the people who had brought up the information so that they would be forewarned that I was gonna bring it up.
And
They did get forewarned and the person cannot attend here tonight, but these items should be part of the agenda to let people know what might be discussed.
okay. Yeah, my concern with the one that was for tonight is I was possibly, I wanted to avoid possible personal attacks. And I think the person who was in a meeting who brought up some things, some of it was inaccurate. And I talked to Bob and that we can discuss that at the, you know, in terms of, where do I have it on there? Yep, town buildings condition, I have listed on my agenda here. I want to bring that up at the end and we can talk about it. Or we can talk about it in citizens forum as a business thing that anyone on the board, I know all of us have investigated some of these allegations and found that some of them false, and I don't think they were intentionally false. You know, I don't want to, you know, here we have a volunteer that's trying to organize something and I didn't want to have public flogging. So I thought it could be dealt with in terms of put out the information of what was incorrect and move on from there. So it was a question of civility to me, and I don't think your intent was uncivil, but it was, I didn't want to spend the whole meeting talking about the buildings when we haven't even gone to the department heads to verify that these are even problems. But you're right, inaccurate information was put out, and we can address it tonight. I've got it in my notes to deal that, and so we can address it. Sorry?
As to why I felt it should have been an agenda item.
Okay,
To give that person a heads up.
right.
We both respect them a lot.
Yes, we do. And I did give him a heads up personally anyway. I spoke to him actually last night, and I spoke to him about half an hour ago. So, okay. So, anyway, we had another hand up, and that was Judy. Yes.
Younger Clark, I just wanted to say, Roberta, the planning board special meeting, or whatever you want to call it, has already appeared on,
I'm sorry, I'll address it to the chair.
okay.
Yeah,
It
okay.
has already appeared on Lycan Ridge, so the notice is out there for the planning board meeting on Tuesday, the 20th.
Okay.
It's public, it's out in the public.
No, I think it's great that she's asking for people to attend, and that's why
I've heard it.
yeah,
Three public places.
right. Thank you.
Three public places. It's a public meeting, right?
I'm sorry, Larry, if you have a question.
Can I,
Thank you.
yeah, I have a question.
All right, no, I think you're making the comment it should be in 3 public places.
Yeah,
What
By
should
law.
be there?
Oh,
the notice. It's a public meeting. It
Okay.
needs to be in 3 public places.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, Roberta, to
actually,
the
it's a
chair.
subcommittee meeting.
Roberta, to the chair.
Yeah, it's, subcommittee meetings only need to be posted in 2 places.
Okay.
It's not a quorum of the board. I have asked other members of the board to come and sit in the audience, but they were hesitant to start scheduling 2 meetings a month. So,
All right. Okay, do we have any other public comments? Okay, citizens forum is complete, and thank you for your input. Old business, ARPA updates. There were two things I think we need on this. First of all, do you have any, I know Rick's not here, but he's on vacation. Is there anything that's come forward other than Rick's?
The pagers,
Yes, the pagers.
you all have those codes right there, do you want to do that first?
I will do that. I had asked, Rick had mentioned that he would like the fire department pagers. We're basically, are very tight. We don't have really enough pagers to go around at pagers, they've lasted a long time, they're generally about $500, they're pretty tough. But they fail periodically or miss buttons and everything else, so we need a set of new pagers, they're updated ones. And I put this up for a couple meetings because he didn't have an exact number. He finally got a quote for us, and which is $5,208 off the ARPA funds. And currently, we have a balance of about $80,000 that has not been spent, and we have a deadline, I think now is December 26th, to spend these monies, or it goes back to the federal government and back to the taxpayers, but it's an opportunity for us to take something out of our next year's budget. So I would like to make a motion to approve the purchase of fire department pagers as stated on the quote totaling $5,208. Discussion or a second?
Yeah, this is according to our policy, we're supposed to have 3 documented written price proposals, and this is a letter from Rick. Until we get those, I'm not gonna vote for anything.
Okay.
When he did drop it off to Tom, he did mention that he knows there's supposed to be 3 quotes, but this is coming from the Southwestern Mutual Aid. And if, I think in the policy it does state unless it's a municipal bid, then you don't need to get 3 quotes. But this will coincide with the Southwestern Mutual Aid team, and it is like a state or municipal bid.
And these are frequencies that are aligned with all the other departments and include Massachusetts,
Correct.
Yeah.
which we have mutual aid agreements with.
And I'm okay with that. I'd just like to see something from Southwest that verifies this
Okay.
number.
Do you want to table this for next week?
I think
Next
we
meeting?
should until we have something in
Okay.
writing from the supplier, even if it's a
This
sole
is
supplier.
Southwest, right?
Yeah, it says so right at the
All right,
top,
I'm sorry.
the very top.
Well, it's fine. Very good.
Okay, all right. So anyway, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, we have another item that came up, and one is we've had a problem with ADT. We have Monadnock services in, it was Monadnock security systems in other buildings, for instance, the library. And so anyway, we have another one to purchase a new system. And you want to give us a little background on that in terms of what happened in the office with our security system?
I have to. I don't really want to go that in depth on this.
Not that in depth, but it's basically give a little background why we need it.
It's basically for updated security for some of the mechanisms in the building in case there's ever an emergency and employees need to have the police here immediately. So it's basically an update to replace the mechanisms that are here from ADT now. And it will actually be, I think, $12 a month less once we get the initial equipment.
Have either of you had a chance to look at this, or?
Let's just go back quickly to the past issue that we had, is that there was, Tom was requesting 3 bids and we got 1. I can state that we have ADT, so we know what that cost is, and we're unhappy with that service, and we should consider that as the second bid,
In other words, but we need a third.
I would say, and I don't know.
Okay.
A third security, I really don't know a third security.
Another reason was the libraries is just switching from, I think, one out of Winchton, and I forget what their name is, but Rick has had trouble with every time the power goes out, the alarm goes off, so his guys are called down there every single time the power goes off. So, and we figured Monadnock was local, and they had, they also carry all the fire alarm systems here, so we're already paying them, we're already a customer there. So.
Mike's on board with it too. I'm okay with it. I've used them in my business, so I think they're a pretty reputable vendor. I suggested to Lori that this building is at risk. I mean, there is no security here in any shape or form.
Well, I'd like not to talk about our particular security.
Well, I mean, this is one aspect of it, I think, that's probably necessary, because I've calmed down a citizen downstairs at the tax collector's window personally, and I know the police have calmed them down like one other time, and so I think it's pretty important we get this in place. I've also suggested to Lori that we get a camera for the front door and the downstairs door, so that anybody that enters is on camera, and our other facilities have that, and I think it's important that as a package to still make it available to the public, but someone could walk in here and do whatever they do and be out of here before anybody can even show up.
I think that should be looked into.
That's what I suggested to her.
But right now, we have that before us.
Correct.
Okay. So, are you okay with 2 bids or 2 providers?
We should have 3, but
Okay.
let me address a couple of points.
Yes.
If we go with this bid, then we have to make sure that we have non-GFCI outlets. All right? You can't look at an outlet just because it doesn't have a test button on it, doesn't mean it's not GFCI protected. What we're gonna have to do is get a tester, plug it into the outlets that we're going to use, and there's a push button on that to see if it trips a GFCI somewhere. Am I correct, Casey?
Yes.
Okay. It could even be the circuit breaker, that's a GFCI circuit breaker. So we might trip the breaker, but, we're gonna have to do that, because if these things trip, then the fobs won't work anyway,
Right.
okay? So we have to make sure that any outlets that we're gonna use for absolutely not GFCI protected outlet. The other thing is, I talked with the police chief yesterday, just before she headed for a few days off. The response even from the fobs, if they worked, is not immediate at all. Okay? It's not really even guaranteed. The last system, I think, when the fobs were tripped, they would call to the TA's office to find out from the TA what the problem was. And if they didn't get the TA, after so many rings, they would call the police to dispatch. So then they call to the main 911 number, who then notifies Ringe, who then comes out. So it's not ever an immediate dispatch.
Right.
The best way if there's a problem. In fact, the situation that Tom was talking about, that he had to go down, the fob was never even used, or else we would have known then that they weren't working. So the fob was not used even when they believed that they had one.
Yeah, you could hear it up here, I would, Bruce coming down the stairs.
The other thing is, a button on the phone is a lot better to 911. If it's a hang-up on 911,
Mm-hmm.
they dispatch.
Right.
If nobody responds to 911, it's a dispatch. If the person can't explain that it was an accident that they called 911, they dispatch. So you're almost guaranteed to dispatch as soon as you call 911. And all it takes is to program one button on the telephone. It's just as easy as the phone. It really is, and it's more secure, far more secure.
We did finally get ADT to get it programmed straight to dispatch, so it is going there now, and this one will go straight to dispatch.
Didn't work,
Right.
so.
They didn't
The
know it wasn't
guarantee that we
working.
got, that would go directly to the dispatch, didn't work.
Even dispatch takes about 5 minutes more.
911 has gone down, but that's very, very, very.
Well, I'm not talking about it going down, I'm just talking about that it takes a bit of time. Once you dial 911, they have to transfer it over to Southwest. They have to do the input, and then they have to send it out. It's
When you
not
put security
an instant.
system in the midst, that's at least
So-
one more step.
Okay, so what are you suggesting?
I would like to see 911 as a program button on all the telephones. I mean, all they have to do is, hit the button, take it off the hook and guarantee the response, even if they were being really harassed bad, couldn't get to the phone to talk. There'd be a dispatch coming.
Sorry, sir, I've got to call 911 because you got your hands around my throat. That isn't gonna work, Bob. You gotta be able to do this and continue confronting the person. You don't need to take your eyes off the, whatever's
So
happening.
you tell them, hang on a second, I've got to go find my phone.
It's attached to the table and they just do it and no one will even know.
I need multiple people in offices at all
I'm sorry, well, let's not get a general discussion here.
Anyway, I just want to bring up the point, that I did discuss it with the police chief yesterday, late afternoon.
Did she have any recommendations?
She really, well, you'd have to discuss it with her too, but she really felt that to call 911, I have a button on your phone that you just hit, and it calls 911. It's just as easy as the ball and hold it.
Okay.
We'll talk to her.
Well, I would like to talk to her, and I guess I'm making a motion on this.
And by the way, I'll vouch for the network security systems myself.
Yep.
I do use them too, and they are good.
Okay. So, all right, let's table that for 2 weeks and see if we want to go forward with it. Okay. Purchase approval for TV for conference room donated by the Historical Society. I have some comments on there. Let's see. Anyway. All right, oh yeah, I would like to make a motion to go forward with the purchase of a TV and mount for the select board meeting room using donated funds to honor Amy Raymond, a longtime native and employee of the town office. This had been, the funds had been approved for a donation a while ago, I think in April, and so I would like to go forward with the purchase. Mike, as highway buildings and the town office have an idea of how they want, where they want to put it, and I would go with their recommendation. So, and the motion was to allow Lori to purchase the TV and wall mount for up to $900 out of those funds that were donated. Sorry, yes.
It was $1,000.
It was. This is Carla McLeod from the Historical Society. We were just doing the wall mounts, and we were reserving a little bit of money for other materials, HDMI cords, things like that. So, okay. Thank you. Or maybe I should amend it, and then that'll, any other materials. So I'll amend my motion to do the wall mount TV, and it's 900 and, let's make it $950 for a mount TV and any other cables or necessary materials for it. Okay.
I'll second it. I'm tired of hearing it's been around for the past 2 months. We need to move forward, right or wrong.
All right. Any
We
discussion?
need to make a decision and move forward.
Any more discussion?
But it's still intended to be mounted in this room.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you had proposed for the rec department, but anyway, the motion is for here. And all in favor? Aye. Okay. Thank you. New business.
Who made the motion? You, Al?
I did. He seconded. Okay. Sorry you had to wait. What you got? Exciting entertainment.
Should I stand?
Yeah, no, you don't have to stand. You can pull up a chair. You can stay seated. You can introduce yourself.
My name is Don Wilson. I'm a board member of the Nominot Lake Property Owners Association. I'm here tonight with Phil Simeo, board member, with Stephen Gray, board member, and Stan Smith, a board member of WSLA, the Winchton and Springs Lake Association. We're here tonight about cyanobacteria. We got it in the lake. It's blooming. It's dangerous. There's a trend, there's an increasing trend of cyanobacteria in the lake, and it's a health hazard. It's developers can want to do something about it. Not to mention the fact that New Hampshire DES has a lot of data that says that if you're on a lake with repeated blooms, your property values go down too. So a few aspects to this, but we're primarily concerned with improving the lake quality, the water quality of the lake, and the safety of the lake. To do this, we need a watershed-based management plan. And this is the plan that basically surveys the entire lake and as well as the entire watershed, looking for sources of phosphorus. Phosphorus feeds cyanobacteria. And if it has phosphorus, then it goes to town. There's lots of sources of phosphorus, including geese and waterfowl, atmospheric stuff in the sediments. The most egregious source is rainwater runoff. By far, all the other categories of phosphorus is out there. Rainwater runoff really takes the cake. But a watershed management plan would survey the lake and the surrounding area, looking for sources of phosphorus, identifying them, and developing plans to mitigate those sources, basically action plans to try to solve or diminish the problem. They rate these action plans in terms of economic efficiency. In other words, low-hanging fruit, what costs the least and you get the most for your buck. They rate these plans. And then there are mitigation funds available to undertake these projects. Now, bear in mind that every homeowner, every parcel owner on the lake will get a report from this watershed management plan saying, well, these are things that you might do yourself to reduce phosphate contamination. And it's nothing that obliges them to do it. It's all voluntary, but it's good information. And there are mitigation funds available to attack or go after bigger projects. But in order to get those funds, you need a watershed management plan, and that costs about $75,000. There's a grant out there that is available to lakes by a watershed management plan that's highly competitive. There's about $180,000 in the fund that is going to go towards these plans, so they can fund 2, maybe 3 plans a year. We, Winchell Springs and Monmouth Lake, have put 10 grand towards the cost of that, hoping to say that we've got some skin in the game and make it a little less onerous for them to grant us the money. But also, having partners in this project is helpful in receiving the grant. Partners, for instance, the Conservation Commission is on board and has given us a gracious letter that says, yeah, this is a good idea, let's go and do it. And tonight, we're asking for support from the official town, the selectmen, to say, we approve this plan and this effort to get a watershed management plan in place. And, I'll shoot the moon here. If you can dig in your pocket someplace and find a little money to put towards it, that even gives us a greater chance of success in getting this grant. Questions?
Well, first of all, what are you asking for?
First, a letter from you guys to say we are on board with your efforts to get a grant to get a watershed management plan.
And the people you're applying to want a town to endorse this plan?
That would be a big help. You're applying to New Hampshire DES.
Right.
They
Yes.
manage it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a DES grant that you're proposing
Through
to
the EPA,
submit?
but they manage it.
Okay. And basically, the way like you just answered Carl, I understand you're looking for a letter of support
Yes.
for your applying for that
Our
grant.
application. Saying that you're on board and
What's the town's responsibility if you're awarded the grant?
The grant, as I said, is just, it's a big to-do list.
Yeah.
And some of those things are going to be road work, for instance, where you might have washouts where you see stormwater getting to the lake. And if those are, first of all, as I understand it, Steve, some of those issues are routine maintenance that you guys have to do anyway. But if it's allowing rainwater, stormwater runoff to get into the lake, there'd be mitigation funds available to fix that. So there could be some extra money for the town to do the road repairs that they already have to do.
So, study.
Yes. And beyond that, these mitigation funds are available, but you gotta pass through the watershed-based management plan first.
I support it. I've been on the lake since the 70s, and it is not the lake that it used to be.
And it's, it's scary. We had New Hampshire lakes come down.
It's got brown water now.
Yeah.
It's always been murky, but it's got brown water now.
We participate in the voluntary lake assessment plan for like 35 years, going data about it. And they came down and said, you're on the brink here of something. It's a scary report for us. So motivated some of us to see what we can do.
And if you get the grant, and well, you get the study, this would, I thought you were saying it would make the town eligible for state funds to mitigate some problems if they
Yes,
occur,
I'm talking about
if they're
mitigation.
discovered.
Yeah, mitigation funds that are set up for these projects identified by the watershed management plan. And I am, thinking that there are, areas that are, road maintenance that might fall under that. Help me out here, Steve, or Phil, road maintenance that would fall under that situation.
And as some people often point out, sometimes there's strings attached. If these funds that we would maybe apply for, would that be matching that the town would have, be obligated to do, or?
There is, there's a 40% match, but it doesn't necessarily have to be cash. It can be working kind. And for instance, it was, that was explained to me is towns frequently say, well, we'll provide the labor and the equipment to do the work. And they interpret that as cash in kind, and off you go.
But that's secondary to you getting your.
Now, that's all
Your
way
plan.
past getting this grant.
So the grant is strictly for the watershed management.
Watershed, the grant is strictly for the watershed-based
Correct.
management plan.
So unless you get that, really nothing
Yeah.
matters at that point. So
Can't do that.
I'm in favor of it. I don't think we have anything to lose to learn something.
Yeah, I guess you have already gone to the planning board director, Al Baum.
Yes.
Spoken to him about it.
Yes, he's provided a letter.
Yeah,
saying
already.
this.
He provided a letter based upon the fact that the three selectmen gave support.
Oh, thank you, okay.
Just to let you
So,
know.
and then he said, well, you ought to come and talk to him. So,
Well, we need an official.
okay, yes, for
Right,
sure.
okay.
So now I can refer that letter as official from the town.
Do you have any questions, Bob?
No, as far as this goes, this initial process, I wish you luck on it, where it's a lake between two states, and this is New Hampshire DES providing the grant. I don't know how willing to be to do it.
That was the first thing we brought up. Said this is a cross-state lake.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, they've done this before, and the plan would be for the entire lake. Now, Massachusetts.
You can't really very well just do the New Hampshire side.
Yeah, that's a bit of a boundary problem.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, thank you for the support.
Well, we need to make a motion and pass it.
All right, well, that too.
But this was just purely for a grant from these two
For-
associations
That's
to get
what I was-
mitigation plan.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
At this point, forget about any further grants or the town meeting.
Exactly.
That's a totally different issue.
Correct.
I'll make a motion that we write a letter of support to the Menominee Property Owners Association who are applying for this grant to do a watershed management plan.
Thank you. I'll second that.
Believe Al is writing one up, and he was supposed to send a copy of it to us. Maybe we can pretty much duplicate words from the two different letters.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine if it comes on the selected letterhead, it's great.
Great. Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. Okay.
On behalf of your neighbors, thank you.
Library quote for new access control
Get
funds.
the roads from going down into the lake, that's it.
So, did you want to talk about the library?
No,
Okay.
this is the town as owner of the building. The library is just paying for this.
Right, okay. Well, no, in terms of the funds donated, it was a bequest, was it?
Yes.
Right. So there's a quote for a new access control system, and my understanding, it's basically a fob to enter the building, and then they have to go and punch in a code to reset the alarm. And that the funds have been from the bequest, so it will cost the town nothing, no use of the town building, but it will help the security there, and maybe, I don't know, hopefully it will stop the alarms that are going off as much. But, Casey, did you have any on that, or, no, okay. All right, so let's see, where is the library? It's basically a fire panel replacement, and there's a, have you both seen this? It's basically for the materials for the new system. And, okay.
I'm fine with it. The library paid for it. For the system itself, I'm just looking for any of the GFI things again.
Right.
But it's calling for a separate 320 volt, 20 amp breaker power for the system.
Aren't they putting, oh, there's a control panel, but that's not a electrical panel.
So I believe
They need
you need electricity to power it. And
They do.
they're demanding a separate, I guess, get the fire panel location.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's okay with Mike for what they plan to
Yep.
do and all that. The people over at the library know more about what they can put on their building as far as the historic building and all that.
Okay.
They have the expertise on that. Mike has the expertise on the electricity and
Okay. So I'll make a motion to accept the bid for the new fire panel and fire alarm system.
we just give them permission, right?
Right, we're giving permission. Okay. So, now, and basically, they've got the money. So, all right, so we don't need a motion?
We don't need to give a bid. I'll make a motion to allow the library to add the alarm panel to the town's bill.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Road maintenance application, access to Sherwin Hill Road. So there is a, who wants to address this? Because basically it involves a number of people. But we have someone who's not, oh, Asa. Hard to recognize you because you used to be this big when I knew you. Anyway, okay, so welcome. So do you want to address in terms of what you want to do?
It seems to me, after conversation with Mike and conversation with Lori, there's more questions of what I want to do, even though I already filled out the permits, that's all the point. Doesn't seem like everyone's on the same page.
In terms of all the butters and stuff, or?
Not a butter, it's more the Conservation Commission, the roadway committee. I don't understand what the hang up is.
It's sort of.
But I more or less came here because it doesn't seem like there's a very good grasp on the situation.
Can I try and
Yeah.
go through a little bit from what I've gotten
Right.
via email and all that? I believe I did see the minutes from the roadway committee. They gave approval. They thought it was a good idea to give approval to you to improve. But to repair the road, where a culvert has been washed through it. Am I correct?
It's an old stone culvert. The vertical walls are still there, the horizontal walls
What
are
really
gone.
needs to be done is pull out one boulder.
They just need to pull out 2 rocks, drop in a HDPE pipe, blow a
Fill
little
it in.
riprap over it.
This is a one-time situation to fix the road, approval for a one-time situation. The
And there
culvert
will
is-
be some tree cutting.
The culvert is pretty much already existing, that's why people are driving around onto somebody else's property. Despite the fact that if people believe speed that the road goes, turns, I guess, left a little bit
That's
and back
all
in.
other stuff, yeah.
That's not that was not the original road. It's just the way people cut around what they had to get up there. So if Asa, if we approve Asa to take that one boulder out of the culvert that's already existing, that just doesn't have a pipe in it and isn't filled in,
Basically just dropping a pipe on.
it sounds like it pretty well fixed the whole problem for now. Am I correct?
And
A
would
lot
this,
of phone calls and a lot of questions.
well, this basically restores the original path as we assume it what existed. And will this solve your problem? Will this give you access that you need?
It will give access
Give everyone access.
to drive up
West,
to cemeteries that still exist up there.
May I ask a question? I don't want to speak out of turn just because since I don't exactly, the boulder is going to be removed or where you're repairing it will be
There's an
to one
old
side.
causeway with a stone culvert that's 50 feet uphill where the blockage is now. Trees can be cut off and rock needs to be cut off, like put in a little gravel.
Maybe you and I could, you could just show me and I know exactly what it is.
Kind of hard to see, grown up.
What'd you say?
It's all grown in.
No, I know. So I mean, maybe at some point you and I could just connect.
and my understanding, this won't affect the boulders, which is the bypass. In fact, that part is blocked off.
That'll be null and void.
It'll be null and void because you won't care.
So
So,
cares? Let her in do it.
Per-
yep.
Perhaps, how will we establish the location of the road?
It's there, it's just missing culvert.
Asa will drive it a couple of times and you'll be able to tell where he's driven, I'm sure.
It'll be pretty simple.
I think the DPW director would help, show Asa where the roadway committee, what the plan was there.
Okay,
And I'm sure he already knows it because he's been up there way more than we have, so.
okay. I'm sorry, Craig.
Craig Clark, just as a point of order, the town does not have an accurate survey of where that road goes. All Michael has is a strip map.
And your point, of course, is that this could rear its ugly head in the future if we don't have a proper survey.
My point is no point. I'm
Okay.
just telling the town that the only information Michael has is the strip map
Okay.
that shows a road, but there is no survey.
But there is a survey of the private property beside.
Correct.
Okay,
My understanding from my conversations a little bit is that it's bounded by stone walls.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty, yeah, but
And
if
so-
you cite the walls, where it
Mike's
should go.
map, Mike has, a line on a piece of paper, but essentially the stone wall is probably a pretty good indicator of the roadway originally.
okay.
Way from way back.
Yep,
It would be probably almost impossible to get any details other than stone walls, pre-68. 1908 was probably just stone walls.
all right, I'd like to make a motion on this to basically accept his road maintenance application so he can go forward. And hopefully this problem is resolved with all parties. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'm really, I'll second the motion. I'm really just approving the roadway committee's recommendation.
Right, exactly. And I'd like to commend you for actually going out there and doing this work and resolving the problem, hopefully. So,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Most people respect it.
Yep, okay, agreed. So I have a motion, second, and all in favor? Aye. We have some good news on the agenda, winter heating fuel proposals. So, we have that here, should we? Do we have the bids on there? Oh, here it is. Department of Public Works. Heating oil propane quotes for 2024 heating season. That doesn't make sense. Is this for 25? Oh, the heating season, it's 24. Okay. Basically, heating quotes are for roughly 11,000 gallons annually. There were 4 quotes per oil, sorry. Fraticelli, and Reds, Allen Mathewson, and Peterson Oil. Fraticelli is basically almost 50 cents, at least 50 cents, more than 50 cents below any other bid. Mike is recommending Fraticelli oil that is 68 cents a gallon difference. Last year's price was $2.81. This is $2.47. We got a fixed price and we pay as we need on the heating oil. Propane quotes for 3,500 gallons annually. Allen Mathewson, 144, LNG propane, 144, and Fraticelli propane, 239. He is recommending Allen Mathewson. They gave quote for 148, and then matched LNG pricing last year. The price was 148. We also have their tanks, and we also prepay the propane at a fixed price. So he's recommending on the oil, Fraticelli, and Allen Mathewson on the oil, propane. So anyway, I would like to recommend we approve this bid and proposal for the highway department. And thank you, Mike, again for good work on helping us get through these bids.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
To accept Fraticelli and...
Fraticelli and Allen Mathewson for propane, Fraticelli for oil.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Was that too long? Okay. All in favor? Aye.
I just wasn't sure.
All right. So, we're...
47 is a good price.
And camping ordinance discussion. Okay.
That's fine.
That, yes, that's you and something else you put on. So,
Yeah. I just want to bring this up. We don't have any ordinance about camping, like tent camping on town property per se. I would like to prevent this from happening, all right? Otherwise, we can have tent camps on town property. It's already been a situation in a lot of cities. Laconia is going through the issue through their ordinance, and they're rewriting it right now. Keene, I believe, has one already. Manchester has one already. So it's been dealt with in other towns and cities, so I just would like to have one ourselves. And Roberta sent me a copy of the town of Derry's ordinance. That's it. That's it, all right? Very simple, very plain, very sweet. Can't camp on town properties. It gives the times that you can't do that. We're not gonna go crazy. I mean, some of these towns put in their ordinances that people cannot sleep in public. I don't wanna go that nutty. Let's just keep it quick, simple, clean. I'll give everybody a copy right here.
yep.
So that you can look it over. I don't want any decisions tonight. I just wanted to bring it forward.
Yep, thank you. And I thought there was something about, for people on private property would need written permission as an option to put in an ordinance.
That'll be discussed too, I guess.
Yep.
That could even be done as, through planning, couldn't it? No, and we could do that too.
Yep,
But in order for people to camp on somebody's, tent camp on somebody's private property, all they need is a note from the owner,
correct.
sign, see it, sign it. And that's it. They can camp outside. I mean, I don't want to prevent Boy Scouts and stuff from camping on where they want to and all that. I don't want to get into a real convoluted thing, just make it established that we don't allow public camping on public property.
We do on the conservation.
Conservation.
Right.
Conservation land, they do allow it, but it's, I believe it's by permit.
Yeah, we have a one-page form, just so we know what it is and when it is, but
Cindy,
Converse Meadow has 4,
You might even be included in this.
and Takeville has 4, so I don't think that's what you're really aiming at. but
No.
It's been in existence for a number of years.
All right, it's just camping on town property, A, it shall be unlawful to camp without written permission from the town, their town council, or their designee. Does that sound like that covers you?
Sounds like it.
All right. Just,
Phil, you think so?
I think so, yeah.
No, it's a simple form.
this is Very, well, it was very short, let me tell you. You got a comment?
Yep, I'm sorry. Comment? Oh, yeah, Roberta.
Yeah, I just want to mention that presently in the zoning ordinance, it says tent camping doesn't require a permit. The plan is to remove that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know why it's in there. It's like, it's not a zoning issue. But yeah, that paragraph, there's 2 changes that need to be made to it because it's so vague. So the proposal was to remove it. So it goes to the Board of Selectmen.
I think we gotta do something, Bob. I don't disagree with you. I think we probably gotta draft something that fits our needs rather than dairy, but I think we move
But
forward with
also-
some regulation.
The Mills had the same situation in Manchester had, people were camping on the sidewalks, that's totally different situation. But
That
Keene
was
had
kind of
people-
interesting. I've been there.
Keene had people camping, I think it was behind Anderson's, and that became a big problem for them. So it can be a problem if you don't address it beforehand.
Do you want to draft something, Bob?
We'll try. I'll try, I just wanted to bring this by everybody.
Yeah,
Even I didn't want to jam this down everybody's throats. This is just a sample as to what can be drawn up.
Yep. Great. Thank you for your work.
Thank Roberta for the idea.
Okay, good. Informational communications, and any other communications and updates? Any meetings or anything?
Yeah, I had a quick one.
Okay.
That Community Power Committee was meeting. We finally got a vote, taken a vote, and dissolved the committee. The vote turned out to be 3-3.
Yep.
All right, so the invitation is both sides, recommendation, what their thoughts are, will be put in writing, and then brought to this board.
Good, thank you.
And it works. Since it came out as a 3-3 tie, the motion didn't pass, so both sides are going to be allowed. So put something in writing to be presented to this board.
Very good. And by the way, that was a pulled together committee meeting. A lot of people came forward. We had 7 volunteers on there, and I want to thank those people who put the work and effort into it.
We had a lot of trouble with attendance, and even I tried my hardest to get 7 people at the last meeting, and I had it until the day of the meeting, and then went back down, and we had 6.
Yeah, okay.
So we got 3-3.
Okay. And Roberta, did you have something?
Yeah, any way to save money on electric rates, I think is a great idea, but it's not that hard. I know you say you don't want to do it, but every 6 months, right now, my rate is 7.5 kilowatt hour. And I've got 4 meters, so it's important for me to check every 5 months to see what is being offered.
Yep.
I went from 9.9 to 7.5, so that's 25% saving on, the delivery.
And I have a notice to update it on my phone that I keep to, that I have to do tomorrow, so.
Yeah, no, it's easy to find. Community Power's on there, so but it's worth, especially now with the big increase in the distribution that's going to come on your next bill.
It's going on all the residential people. 6.9%.
All right, any other official business? I have one, well, Bob had one, I had one, Tom, I think has, basically a condition of the town building. It was, some of the things were raised, and we kind of looked into it, and some of it was valid issues, but there were some that were big misses that people might say, what's going on? And when things go out in citizens forum, it's unfortunate because, you don't have the input of the elected town administrators. For instance, if there's issues with the fire, those complaints should go to the fire department, the chief should look into it, investigate, and so forth. Anyway, so one, I don't know, did you want to do a couple?
Yeah, there was insinuation that there was mold in the attic and that people couldn't even go up there in the police department. So I know, I heard Tom went by, I asked if the buildings department could go out and check this out. And why didn't the police chief call us if there was a problem? Well, the reason we weren't called because of the problem is because there is no problem. Upon visitation of the attic in the police department, there is no mildew, there is no mold. Pictures were taken, it's surveyed. There's not a hint of any mold and mildew in the police department attic. As far as it was presented that the ceiling was falling down in the police department. They have old 12 by 12 squares in the ceiling. Every once in a while, one comes loose. Lee Facento, who's our maintenance person, and he puts one nail up into the 12 by 12 tile, and that puts the ceiling back up. So the ceiling that was falling down in the police department was merely 12 by 12 inch tiles periodically that come loose. I mean, they could be just taken right out, the little construction adhesive and shoved it back up and do the same.
They're all 12-inch fiber tiles, I would see.
Yeah. These things happen.
They're known to sag.
Yeah.
And, well, the fire department also has a gray water well, and a gray water discharge. That is working fine. It's worked for years. Sometimes it was slow. We would accumulate water when we're washing trucks in the winter, but it basically still works.
There was also the insinuation that the second floor of the fire department was not compliant to code. Well, the building
That's
code,
the location of the...
the building code inspector has his office on the second floor of the fire department. And he didn't apparently see that they were not totally compliant with code, so he's a little bit of a stickler if you have to come up. This is his assistant. He's sitting in the room.
Okay. Tom, did you have anything? You were looking into
I
it also?
think, well, I went to the crime watch, and they're probably going to submit a recommendation, if they haven't already, that we form a building committee and just evaluate what we have. I think we need to, it's time that we do need to look at it, because I think the highway department has issues. They have an old building down there, and certainly all the buildings, I mean, we're talking of ventilation here, and I don't know what the results of that meter are telling us, but maybe put a committee together and kind of just take a second evaluation. The last one was done quite a while ago, I think 2011 roughly. And it may not hurt to do that, and come up with some kind of plan so that we can start planning moving forward. I don't think it's going to happen in the next, tomorrow, but I think we need to start evaluating as the town grows. The need's going to increase as well.
Right.
Our police department certainly is larger than it used to be, and it is quite cramped in there a number of times. And I think it won't hurt us to at least start some sort of evaluation. I think the security of this building is still a big issue. And I know it's been highlighted by the police department themselves in recent years. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Aho suggested that we do something in this building. So I think we need to maybe form a building committee at some point, and maybe even have capital improvements people participating, because it's really a capital item. And Al may be pretty helpful in that respect. He's kind of the guy who's willing to kind of look at stuff like that moving forward. So that's all I have. I've been I've been playing with my own equipment to videotape these for the public for transparency purposes. I know Larry's puts his stuff up. And so I have been investigating, doing it for the town, maybe spending some of the ARPA money on it so that we can inform the town people what's going on at these meetings. And I'm hoping to got one quotation from another company that does a number of New Hampshire towns. I am aware that Francistown has been doing it. Francistown's been doing it since 2016. I've looked at this company's protocol. It's pretty straightforward, simple. Turn it on and off. It'll be available to all our boards, Concom, planning, whoever has planning already reports them. But they should be at that meeting, should be available. They do it more for minutes, but that may be beneficial to the public viewing. So I'll bring it back at some point and see. But I think it wouldn't hurt us to do it. Save Larry's time putting them up on the internet after it records them. Save me setting up a camera as well.
And you had said you set it up, but if you're talking about the town doing it as a town, not as an individual.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I think we're probably the only town, I think every town around us does it.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's a bad thing. It's good for the citizens to have that transparency. And if they can't come to a meeting, they can come back and look at it tomorrow or later tonight or whenever. I mean, it'll be archived for future use. And I think it's just a good thing moving forward in the 21st century.
Okay.
So that's really all I have at the moment. So,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I hadn't finished on this.
Okay,
The
thank
other
you.
statement, she kind of gave what this grant money that might be available for this building. It's for populations up to $12,000. There are grants up to 55% available, but it has restrictions on it, and it's about the median. They call it the non-metropolitan median household income. All right, two figures I can find from the state about the Ridge median household income. You might be surprised. From the state, they say the median household income in Ridge is $97,794. The state of New Hampshire is approximately $7,000 per year lower than that. So we may not at all even come close to qualifying for this grant.
I would agree with you, Bob. It's population and it's income, so we're probably going to score very low on the list of tiers. And, but you can't.
I didn't know what these figures were. I had to look them up, and I was really shocked.
There it goes. But I think we don't want to discount the fact that we need to look at something. You can't really apply for a grant if you don't have a plan.
Right. Or you haven't assessed your needs. So I think it's just getting.
So it's a little ahead of the game, but
Right.
Bob's absolutely correct.
Don't get your hopes up on any grant money.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying.
So that's Bob's 100% right. I looked at it and we're rid of but you never know.
Okay.
Something else may come down the line. We'll see.
Okay. Well, if there's no other official business,
There's a couple of things.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You kind of glanced over something and you made mention in ARPA. You through that. Laurie sent out an email towards the end of the day today. Came from municipal managers, New Hampshire, I guess. I don't know that we have to expend the funds by the 26th. As I read through this, I think we have to be obligated to spending the funds by the 31st.
I thought that it had to be expended.
And expended to cover such obligations by December 31st, 2026. This is what was sent to me.
Yeah, I got that it.
I see that again, because I read that also.
I don't see
I
why
had
it's
heard
December
interpretation.
24th.
Okay.
It was like right before the meeting, I finally had a chance to get to my email.
I have not had a chance to read through the whole thing, but just quickly looking at it right now.
Okay, and I'm just reading as it's stated, the obligated funds must also be expended by December 26th, and my interpretation of obligated funds are things that we have made, got bids for, contracted for.
She
Correct.
says, this is Margaret Burns from NHMA that sent it to our email group, but she says, merely voting to expend, encumber, allocate, appropriate, designate, set aside, reserve, etc., your ARPA funds does not meet the definition of obligation.
Mhm.
So she's just sending it out saying,
Spend the money.
spend the money.
Okay.
If not, it goes back to the treasurer.
Okay. In any case, we only have about 3 months. So
Getting close to expending it now.
we are.
I did have one more issue.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to just go back to this meeting, take a start and drive. Several people are kind of crazy. We've got 2 ads up for 2 different things. And one is for a ZBA secretary, correct, at 20 to 25 hours per month. Then we have.
Oh, I'm sorry, was it, I thought it was 10 hours a week or 40
Says,
hours.
says 20 to 25 hours per month. That's what
Okay,
the ad
gotcha.
says.
All right, thank you.
Site. Then the minute taker is another ad. And the minute taker is based in hours per week, which is 2 to 10 hours per week, which averages out to 6 hours per week. All right, times 4 weeks, it's 24 hours per month. This sounds like the same position. All right? Now, if this is a position that is intended to provide a secretary to the zoning board, then the zoning board should be doing the interviewing for this person to see if they're willing to do that job plus other duties that are required. So if the intent of this minute taker position is to do the ZBA minutes, then that board, the ZBA, should do the interview for the person that's going to be working for them. You still gotta read those RSAs that grant the planning board and the zoning board the right to hire their employees after the select board has approved the monies for that position. I'm seeing nods here from the vice chair and the chair of the 2 boards. All right, so at this point in time, I'd like to make a motion to have the ZBA do the interviewing for any position that is intended to be their secretary, basically.
I'm not gonna agree to it.
Well, let me, hold on a second. Well, I want to address that because you made the statement that it's the same position, and clearly, if you look at what the ZBA clerk has to do, it's basically, it's sending, you want to describe, you've got about 14 things on the list, aside from
They're
minutes.
posted right on the website.
Right.
George did all
Yep.
of the.
Right, and George and Marcia have gone and had a meeting with you Monday, but it was very clear that there was about 14 things that you had agreed as the office to be doing until they get a ZBA clerk. And there were 14 steps. One of those is minutes. So minutes is sort of a fill-in to help out, but it doesn't deal with the ZBA clerk. And you're right. I agree with you totally that the ZBA, once they have the clerk, should be the one hiring. And, it's how we got to town, but they need to be involved in the process and know that this is the person they want. So
I can
there are
explain
two.
my meeting with George and Marcia on Monday, if that would be helpful.
All right, well, I'm sorry. What did you say?
I could explain the meeting where George and I and Marcia and Al sat down to just discuss it. The duties and expectations for the ZBA clerk, so we're all on the same page. I explained to George that we had a possible applicant for the minute-taking position, that if this person was a good fit and was qualified to do the job for a minute taker, that we could offer to potentially have them work from home, because that was the minute taker's position, was just to cover any board or committee that needs it, because Concom needs one. But there may be a time when planning needs coverage, or there may be a time when the Board of Selectmen need coverage, any committee. So it's a wide range of hours, so 2 to 10 hours a month. And I explained to them that, you know, if this applicant is qualified, I would ask them if they would consider the duties for the ZBA clerk, and I would send the applicant to the ZBA
Okay.
for the
Right.
So that's
Okay.
how we left it on Monday.
But, yeah, the only thing,
This isn't 2 to 10 hours per month. It says on the website, it says 2 to 10 hours per week.
and basically, if you have a ZBA, that's what, they meet once a month.
Yeah, Bob's right, it's 2 to 10 a week.
It
It's
is.
wide range.
But, yeah, it could be 10 if there's like, in the, I'm sorry, in the Concom, they have 2 meetings a month. And right now, you don't have a secretary, but having minutes would help your minutes, okay? So,
And I did explain to them both that I understand it's just a Band-Aid, right? For
Yep.
if we can get somebody in there to take the minutes, because Marcia had come into my office and, you know, stated that she's not gonna have time for the minutes, to, you know, in the fall. And so I said, I know this would be a Band-Aid to kind of just cover, but at least it would relieve Marcia from doing the minutes, should the ZBA choose to do that.
okay, and that's her choice too. And Marcia, you,
Yeah, may I speak for myself, please? I'm a teacher and I don't look well at the backs of people. Quick thing about the zoning board, we take very seriously serving the people. I'm vice chair because the chair couldn't be here tonight. 2 quick things. We try to have what you, the voters, have put in upheld when we have the meetings. We use the same criteria, whether you have, you know, 1 acre or whether you're renting or whatever it is. We really try to be fair. And one of the things about being fair is ease of access. And if we don't have a zoning clerk, and I don't like the term minute taker, that was not used in the meeting. Minute taker is something different. We need a zoning clerk, and we need it because only taking minutes at the meeting is maybe a very small, maybe 10–15%. What the zoning clerk needs to do is make sure that you, the public, get notified if you're in a butter, that you have notices in the paper or when the public meetings are, that if you have questions, and you know, filling out forms is not a fun occupation, and that you have access to people who can answer those questions because we've got the material there. So it's a really critical job. So now what steps have been taken? I'm an English teacher. I can't tell you how many organizations I take minutes for. And normally it doesn't matter because they're informal. This is a town board. If we go to court and we don't have all of our ducks in a row and minutes are one part of them, then we could be in trouble and we, the citizens, could pay for that. It is not just taking minutes. And at that meeting that took place about 3 days ago, and present were George and I, as chair and vice chair of ZBA, the planning board, no, not the planning board, the gentleman Al, yes, thank you, and of course the town administrator. And it was a very cordial meeting. It went well. And I wrote up the minutes and bulleted because I like to know what was said and have everybody online with it. And one of the things that was emphasized is that we wanted there to be wider access to what was needed. Unfortunately, what was posted was a minute taker, and that was posted on Facebook, which has 2,000 followers. The need for a ZBA clerk was on the town web. I don't know about your friends, but a lot of my friends aren't real tech savvy, and getting on the web and finding all of that made it not an ease of access for the public.
Okay.
First of all, we wanted it to be one job.
Can I add to something?
yeah, go ahead.
I had heard that, so I went to, God forgive me, I went onto Facebook. Yeah, you all know. But I just Actually, just found out a couple of days ago that the town had a Facebook page, by the way. All right. So I went on that, and I did find an ad, I think it was April 11th for the ZBA clerk.
Was it
On-
for a minute taker?
No.
It was for ZBA clerk.
Sorry?
Why, well, if that's true, then part of, because George is, the chair, is a detail person, he's an engineer. I'm an English teacher, I'm not a detail person. He contacts, I think, on speed dial, the state office to find out if we're following the rules. And the state office said that the ZBA chair needs to be making these decisions. And he's supposed to be notified. He didn't get any notice. And furthermore, I'm really troubled because this is hot
I'm
off
sorry,
the press.
notified about what?
Notified that these had gone out and that there was an applicant. There was an applicant.
I'm sorry, for the
But that you
ZBA.
got,
For
that
a
you,
different position.
but it was supposed to be for the ZBA. He should have been notified. He wasn't, and
I'm sorry,
The
Marcia,
applicant
Marcia,
Yes.
applied for the.
there are 2 applications.
And-
There are 2 ads.
right.
No, so there was only 1 application that came in, and the only application that came in was for the minute taker.
Right, and that's my point. Therein lies an area of upset. A minute taker does exactly that. The ZBA clerk takes minutes, but does much more. If you're in a butter, you need to be notified. We need to meet deadlines and so forth. And so that job of just the minute taker was on Facebook with 2,000. The other job of ZBA clerk was on the town website.
And
It
it was
wasn't-
on Facebook. April 11th.
I was told that the town clerk job was not. If I'm in error, I apologize.
Well,
I checked on it.
Okay, it should be in the paper also, and there are two
It was
jobs.
posted in
sorry,
the paper
what-
about
let's-
6
let's-
All right,
times.
so.
Well, and this also came, and this is very distressing to me. It says on this is from our town administrator, I met to discuss the boards, and I'm quoting from the letter, an applicant applied for the minute taker position, and if all went well with an interview, I would ask them if they would consider adding the duties of ZBA clerk. Now, at the meeting, it was to be the other, ZBA clerk first, and then see if you could, if you couldn't do that, perhaps you could be just the scribe. If so, I would refer them to the ZBA for an interview, and goes on to say, I will not be able to fulfill your request to turn applicants' personal information over to the chair, as that would be unethical on the town's behalf. How can you hire someone if you don't have their information? So the ZBA would like to be a positive member of the community. We're here to serve. We don't make the rules. We want to do them, and we want to do them well, and we're really needing a clerk to make sure that the legal deadlines are met, and that's critical. And so I
And
can't.
by the way, everyone's in agreement with that.
Absolutely.
Right.
But the 2 jobs were, and I went back and referred, and George and I talked about this. It was our clear understanding that the 2 jobs were not to be posted, and the one that was just minute taker on the broader spectrum.
It was posted before our meeting, Marcia.
Why didn't you post it as ZBA clerk?
Because it was the position of the board approved for a minute taker,
Which board?
the board of selectmen.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, but we need, what I would be here to say is if the town wants its citizens needs, when you have, you know, an applied, an addition you want to put on, you want your water rights protected, you've got to be able to have access to the people who can help you if you have a legitimate need for an exception, which people do, or a variance, which people do. And we can't do that effectively and well without a ZBA clerk, not something
Right.
called a minute taker.
And now, we have put it on Facebook, we probably should revive that.
As to-
I'm sorry, let me finish, please. We should probably revive that and put it, make a more recent entry for it, because does it go down in the queue or something? I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
Facebook
can
works.
repost this again.
Yeah.
Uh,
Make it more current.
I'm like you,
It's,
It
goes way down the line.
right,
Yeah,
so.
put our backs.
Yeah, I'll let you, sorry. And so we probably should revive that. You suggested another ad. I don't know how effective they are, but it's worth just
But if
putting it
Facebook
in.
has 2,000,
We did Facebook and we will do Facebook again.
thank you.
So, yeah, and that was, you know, that all you have to do is ask on that, because communicating this is important, and this is an important position.
Absolutely.
And it's very frustrating to go month after month. And basically, the town has had to take on those duties as best they can. And, they have put a huge effort into that, and as you know.
And I sympathize with the town trying to help, but meeting those deadlines for posting to abutters and so forth is critical. And a
It
couple
is.
times, some deadlines were very nearly missed, except that George came in and he's such a stickler for detail. He double checked.
Yeah.
That's not the norm.
Okay.
So I want to be
Yeah.
cooperative, we're wanting to get the problems up for the public.
Right. And
So
Tom
thank
had, I know, Pat, you had something, but Tom, you had wanted to add.
Well, I think, Marcia, we realized the situation, but it's someone's responsibility that that's made properly. It's a gap. We decided a few weeks back to hire a minute taker that could also help the Concom and maybe relieve some of the current town staff of taking in, dissecting minutes. The clerk position's been advertised for a long time on the website, and no one has filled out the position. If you don't want a minute taker, and you don't want the help of the people that are trying to help the ZBA, maybe the board ought to do it themselves.
That's not what the RSA says, and George checked at
Someone
the
has
state.
to do it. And so if they don't want to relinquish some of that, I can't do it, or it's not my job to employees of the town, then it's really a dysfunctional process.
And I don't envy you your job of being responsible for getting help for the boards, because that's part of your job, and it's hard. I'm not saying I could do it at all, and I'm not trying to be smart mouth about it. It is difficult, but this is a critical need to serve the public.
So if we hire a clerk, it's got to go to you guys, and that doesn't serve the town really in a positive way, because it's turf, it's the ZBA's turf. And I don't have a problem with hiring somebody, but
That's what the law says.
I understand that, but, we're trying to help you. And the minute taker is one step in that direction, and like Lori said, if this person, and I don't know, I've seen anything about this person, if this person may be very qualified to fall into that position, but they've applied for a minute taker to help you and relieve you of that duty.
So let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. I just want to, I want to walk out here making sure I know what you said. Are you telling me that the job will be posted as one job and the clerk will be the primary, and if the person,
No, I
okay,
am not. I'm telling you, we voted to hire a minute taker
okay.
several weeks back. And we've also posted a job for the ZBA clerk.
Okay.
And I think it should remain that way.
Separate?
Yes, ma'am. And if someone applies for the clerk, you guys can have at it. If someone wants to come in here and take minutes only, and that's all they want to do, tough luck, Charlie. We'll have to wait till someone applies for the clerk position.
And if the town can't, because your schedules are busy, take on the responsibility of making sure deadlines are met, making sure abutters are notified, if that screw up happens, that's not on the ZBA.
Well, it's probably on the chair's table, because he's responsible for that.
Well, at
board.
the end of the
Not
day,
if you're
it's
telling
really
us.
on the board.
I understand
It's on,
that.
yeah.
So, if you don't want to work with us, and you want to be totally independent, go at it.
No one
We'll help.
said that.
And if something gets missed, it gets missed.
If town
They're doing the
officials
best they
don't
can.
work together in a cordial way,
Unbelievable.
nothing positive happens.
All I hear is negatives about it. We're trying to help you.
Tom, can we move, we need to move on.
I said my piece, thank you.
Pat had, you had a comment, or
Yeah, I do. So Pat Martin, Farrow Road. I just want to point out, we're kind of in tail wagging the dog mode now, because the whole pressure to get the minute taker is because the ZBA needed a clerk. Okay, that's how that minute taker thing came up. I know that the Concom would also like a minute taker, but it's not enough for that position that's as it's advertised. So I just want to say that first. And second of all, for myself as a manager for many years, I I would find this totally unacceptable, that another department would be interviewing somebody that I want. And I also agree that the ZBA clerk position should be the highest priority, because it then reduces the need for a minute taker. So if the person who applied for this job said, hey, yes, I'm interested in the ZBA position, that whole thing should be moved along to the ZBA for them to interview and make a decision about that person. If they don't like it, then it goes back to the town for a minute taker. But what's driving the amount of hours behind here is the need that the ZBA has. And my final point is that the ZBA clerk will need training. Even people filling in right now are needing training to know what to do in response to the ZBA needs. And that's very frustrating for somebody who's trying to keep the ZBA going. They're training people, training people, training people. And it's not to their best effect in the long run. So I just want to say, I understand all the good intentions that were here, the good intentions of trying to fulfill the needs of the ZBA, and the good intentions of the ZBA to fill their obligation to the town. I hope we can work this out and that nobody gets, so upset. And that, myself, as I said, as a former manager, I wouldn't tolerate it at all. So just my 2 cents.
Thank you. And Roberta, did you have something?
Yeah, I have actually a budgetary question. Lori mentioned 3 boards that this person may be taking minutes for. I see a logistical nightmare, because that means 3 different people have to sign off on wages. Not only that, I understand Concom really needs more than a secretary for minutes, because I remember seeing Al in the town office doing all kinds of filings and stuff. And I didn't know if that was part of
He intends to keep doing that.
oh, okay, good, because that's complicated.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, Susan does planning, and, so it would be ZBA and Concom, and it would be coming out of their budget. So it just, unless it's coming out of the selectmen's administrative budget. As I say, it sounds to me like it's a logistical nightmare.
Well, right now it's coming out of the budget of the office, because basically we're filling in right now for the ZBA, and we have sometimes they come in at like 6 o'clock at night, and Victoria's still working on minutes, and they take, and they're 3 dense pages. It takes a long time. I've done it myself, and I regretted doing them, or taking on that obligation. But it's a lot of work. And if we had somebody who's coming in, wants to work from home, and can take these tapes and turn it into minutes with training, then it'll alleviate some of the pressures right now, because we're trying to fill in for missing positions.
Yeah, I would just add, minutes are much easier to do if you've been at the meeting.
That's true.
Much easier.
Yep. So, all right. So, anything else, Bob?
Made promises that I bring it up tonight, and waited to get brought up. All right, I did make a motion to have the ZBA do the interviewing for any position that's intended to be their clerk.
I agree.
Without the time required for the clerk's position, the minute taker will only be working 3 hours a month.
And it may disappear if it's not needed. So, and that was the intent. It's a temporary
How
plug.
can you hire somebody and tell them that they're gonna have so many hours, and then tell them later, well, planning doesn't need you, and zoning doesn't need you, and just Concom needs you, and so you're gonna get 3 hours per month. But you hire the person for like 20, 24. If you can't you don't have a job to cover the 24 hours is all. I don't know why you hire somebody that you don't have work for. So, they did make that motion. It's up to you guys if there's gonna be a second.
I don't think we need to second it personally, I can't second it, I mean, it's spelled out that they need to hire their own person, and if someone applies, they can interview.
Well, I thought that was your motion, that they interview their own person for the hire.
And that's
The motion was, I'll read it again.
Thought it was to separate, to combine.
No,
I forgot something important.
Motion to have the ZBA do the interviewing for any position intended to be their clerk.
I thought that was our practice now.
All right, well,
Yep.
your minute taker is intended to work for the ZBA, or I assumed it was, to be their clerk.
It's not their
If
clerk,
the
it's,
ZBA chooses to hire them as a minute taker.
in other words, they don't have to use that person as a minute taker. If they want to.
I got a feeling, I'm sorry, but I have a feeling this is going to court.
Yeah, going right over there.
I just do.
Anyway, I will second your motion
Going to court.
that they can hire their own ZBA clerk.
Someone on there doesn't know what it is.
Okay? So,
The motion was to have the ZBA do the interviewing for any position intended to be their clerk.
ZBA clerk, correct? Yes. And that's a different position than a minute taker. So I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay.
She's a crap.
It has one more important thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's really,
Okay.
really.
All right. Thank you.
The thing is that people are saying that somebody responded to the ad from seeing it on Facebook. But they don't say which page on Facebook, because I happen to know that Holly Kosky took the ad from the website and put it on Life and Ringe.
Okay.
So I'm asking, was the response from Life and Ringe or from the Facebook page of the town?
I would say it's not relevant to this discussion because basically we need to reach out, we need to fill this position, and that's something you can ask Lori during the day, and we need to reach out where we can.
Just bigger audience, Life and Ringe is like 5,000.
I agree. So we need to do more outreach for this job, and that's not in dispute. So, and if you feel there are no applicants and you want an ad put in the paper, speak up and we will, budget that. So, okay? But it is an important position and we need to fill it. All right.
I'm sorry I made this a long drawn out.
It had to
But
be.
it needed to be discussed.
It needed to be discussed. You're right.
Now I will do my duty again. I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I will second that.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Howdy boy over there.